You've heard of the Sierra Madre casino. We all have. The legend, the curses, foolishness about it lying in the middle of the city of the dead. Buried beneath a blood-red cloud. A bright, shining monument luring treasure hunters to their doom. The world's most famous stars and entertainers were invited to its grand opening. An invitation was a sign of exclusiveness. The opening was supposed to symbolize a road to a brighter future, not just for the world, but for all who came to its doors. A chance for anyone to begin again. Except the Sierra Madre never opened. The war froze it in time, like a big flashbulb going off. The grand opening, one big ending of humanity. It's still out there, in the wastes, preserved, just waiting for someone to crack it open. But getting to it, that's not the hard part. It's letting go.
Dead Money is known as one of the most difficult DLCs for Fallout New Vegas. From speakers that will make your head resemble an egg in a microwave, to holograms that will
blows up pancakes with mine.
My fucking
and bear traps that'll make you waste all your chips on doctor's bags, it's rough out there in the Sierra Madre. Most reasonable people would try to disable these traps as much as possible, either by shooting or disarming them. But if you haven't figured it out by now, I am not a reasonable people. Can you beat Dead Money without disabling traps? The rules are what you'd expect from the title. I can't disable any kind of trap, whether that be a hologram emitter, speaker, radio, bear trap, tripwire, landmine, rigged gun, whatever. If it's a static object that causes me physical, mental, or psychological harm, then I can't directly inhibit its function. However, activating traps is okay, so if I get my leg caught in a bear trap or get blown up by a mine, the run is still intact, even if my limbs aren't. I'll be playing on very hardcore, but unlike my previous runs, companions are allowed. Finally, so I can't just tank through everything, I'll be leaving my endurance at 1 and I'm not allowed to wear any armor while in the Sierra Madre besides my standard collar and jumpsuit. Now, with all that aside, let's get started. Waking up from a 9mm induced dirt nap, I name my courier Mether Hasten after the character from the Highland Sill series. After making her look sufficiently traumatized, I wonder how the ceiling fan still works after 200 years and freak out at the sight of the hideous purple hood. Ah, that's better. A vibrant red hood so I can't tell the difference between stealing and taking, and to blend right into the cloud. Lovely. I then assign my special stats, 8 strength so I can stab things harder and carry a lot, 8 perception to see my enemies before they see me and for better criticals, 1 endurance because I hate myself, 1 charisma since you can't rizz up the zombies in Among Us suits, 8 intelligence for skill points, 8 agility for being a little sneakster and attacking in vats, and 6 luck so I can at least get some crits, and, again, for better criticals. I then tag the skills of medicine so I don't die as horribly, sneak for slipping my way past traps, and survival for a surprise tool that will help us later. As for my traits, I go with good-natured since skilled would mess up leveling my character, and hot-blooded because I feel like I'll be going under 50% health a lot in this run. After turning on hardcore mode, I discover that the eye adjusting effect persists if you go back in Doc Mitchell's house. With that world-shattering revelation fresh in my mind, I perform a drip check and get a good glimpse into my soon-to-be broken soul, and start running my ass to the abandoned Brotherhood bunker, blasting a gecko in the process. Since I'll be equalizing my level to 20 before this DLC and I can't bring anything with me, nothing I do on the way truly matters. To that end, I get mad at this immovable shopping cart, use a powder charge to make sure the gecko's really dead, and take down some criminal scum.
What's that for? Aha!
After this guy pulls a... I shove him in a barrel to hide the evidence, but make sure to leave a doctor's bag to at least give him a fighting chance. I then perch on top of the barrel like an owl, soaking up enough radiation to kill a medium-sized elephant until I reach 800 rads. Why am I giving myself deadly rad poisoning? To anyone who's ever done a survival build, you already know the answer. Passing the powder gangers in Hidden Valley, I use my tag sneak skill to slip past a gaggle of mutants and take the Black Mountain shortcut through Helios 1, until I find an undelivered NCR Amazon package. Well, as it turns out,
It's a trap!
and a bunch of Legion apparate from thin air to sharpen their machetes on my bones. On my second go-around, I simply avoid the package and encounter my second trap of the run, a mine. Unfortunate for that guy, but it shows that I can detonate mines and back away to avoid damage, which doesn't count as disabling them as they serve their proper function of blowing the fuck up. Entering the bunker, I see the last person who came here was really bad at spelling, remove any gained XP, and level myself up to 20, the level recommendation for this DLC. This takes a while, so I'll just show you what my skills and perks looked like at the very end. As you can see, I got Travel Light and Light Touch since I won't be wearing armor, Rad Child since I tagged Survival for a reason, Adamantium Skeleton since I'll be getting my limbs broken a lot, and better criticals and finesse since extra damage is always good. After being knocked out and dragged to the Sierra Madre, some floating blue guy tells me to find a ghoul in a tuxedo, a mutant with split personality disorder, and a Brotherhood scribe whose face was taken apart and put back together like a jigsaw puzzle. Now, let me explain why I took the Rad Child perk. In hardcore mode, simply being outside in the Madre slowly drains your health due to the toxic cloud, but with Rad Child, that lost health is instantly regenerated. Plus, there are no sources of radiation in the Sierra Madre, so you don't have to worry about dying from rad poisoning. Sure, the minuses to your special stats suck, but it's a small price to pay for what's essentially an unlimited constant stim pack. In fact, the healing is so strong that while inside a toxic cloud, my health jitters up and down instead of constantly draining. My first encounter with a ghost person goes pretty well. I take out most of his health with a sneak attack, follow up in VATS to bring him to 1 health, and then somehow make his head explode with a kitchen knife. Ghost people are slow, but have erratic attack and movement patterns that make them hard to predict, and they only die if you cripple their limbs. On my way to Anubis, I spring a grenade trap. I thought I could hide from the explosion by going around the corner, but no dice. On my second try, I get a much better head start and manage to outrun the herdy pineapples. Inside the police station, I encounter one of the major obstacles for this run, radios. While you could just normally switch them off, the rules necessitate that I treat them as permanent sources of messy death. You get around 10 seconds before your head turns into Smuckers, and the countdown resets when you slip into a blind spot, so they aren't too bad, so far. Meeting the schizophrenic mutant, I convince him not to hate my guts, and we start slicing up some ghost people. Honestly, the ghost people aren't that hard to kill, mostly due to the fact that they have no armor and die instantly if one of the rims are crippled, regardless of how much health they had left. Sure, they inflict a ton of damage, but they also move pretty slowly, so it balances itself out. On my way to Dean, I find out that the explosion of mines can detonate other traps in the vicinity. I also find out that ghost people can detonate traps while wandering around, so at least there's some good news. Still doesn't stop me from blowing myself up a bunch of times. After exercising a few more ghosts, I thoroughly check the seat next to Dean for explosives and find none.
Might be a bit rude, but that chair you're sitting in, it's got a shaped charge in the seat cushion. Get up without my permission. I'll blast your ass so far through your head, it'll turn the moon cherry pie red.
Oh, I guess he hit it whoopee cushion style. After a pleasant chat where I make sure not to attempt any speech checks, Dean follows me and gives me the Unclean Living perk, which reduces the effectiveness of toxic clouds. Thing is, my health regen is so busted that I can just walk through without a care. I suppose it's a thought that counts. The path to the mute is littered with speakers and ghost people, but dashing between blind spots in the frequency works well enough. This is also where I find out that throwing spears are broken. It usually just takes 2 or 3 spears and VATS to cripple a ghost person's head, which kills them instantly no matter what. Needless to say, this will become a mainstay tactic, especially when you can collect up to 5 spears on every ghost person you kill. Inside the medical station is where my first problem arises. You need to get to the very back and free Christine, however, there's a shielded speaker that will kill you no matter what. I even tried spawning in Turbo using the console to see if that would work, but no dice. Luckily, after this goofy-aw death, I can sneak past Dr. Manhattan and turn off power to the building. Technically, I didn't disable any traps directly, I just cut off power to the entire place, which just so happened to get the speaker out of my way, so the run is still intact? If you disagree, feel free to dislike the video and explain to me why I'm a fat, stinky poopy head. Anyways, I rescue the mute, level up, putting points into guns, medicine, melee weapons, and repair, and get Christine's perk that makes it so speakers take longer to turn your head into a Jackson Pollock painting. The spear to the head technique proves just as effective, except when a ghost person somehow kills you with one hit from full health and crashes the game to desktop. I both love and hate New Vegas in equal measure. After opening New Vegas again, Christine teaches me a chip recipe, which I never end up using, and now I have to position these chuckle fucks around the Madre like chess pieces. Nothing much interesting happens on the way to Puesta del Sol South. I try using the holo rifle, but because I have no points in energy weapons, it feels more like playing laser tag. Oh, and I die instantly again for no reason, that's always fun. Anyways, after turning on the Blue Man group, Dean's perfectly comfortable to become a living piece of electrical tape. Next up is the robed punchy lady's girlfriend, who needs to go to the switching station and redirect the power. Jury-rigging an electrical box levels me up, where I put points into repair, melee weapons, guns, and barter, and get the Super Slam perk. The switching station isn't too bad. I get an automatic rifle, which I almost never use, kill a turret with some spears, and the rest is just running around accessing terminals, the speakers being a non-issue due to Christine's perk. I hold hands with Christine, don't tell Veronica please, use the elevator, and begin making my way back to the villa. On the way, I repair some things, get turned into a shish kebab, get my revenge, and trade in my Chuck E. Cheese tokens. Finally, we have to get God to flip some switches. I throw a spear between his legs, this ghost person gets turned into a wall decoration, I put the Super Slam perk to good use, accidentally knock God on his ass, and now he wants me to get some ghost person ectoplasm, which I can't imagine tastes very good. Well, after I get his fix, I tank a fire extinguisher to the face, get ready to start the gala event, sending some ghost people back to the afterlife, and level up, where I put points into melee weapons and guns. Between the traps and ghost people that constantly cripple my limbs, I'm hurting for doctor's bags and spending my chips on them the first chance I get. I try to switch things up by using the gun that shoots Cortana's vomit, but quickly switch back to throwing spears as you can't go wrong with the classics. If it worked in 10,000 BC, it'll sure as hell work now. After a little fireworks show, I go balls first into hell. Speakers, bear traps every 5 feet making me waste doctor's bags, ghost people chasing my ass. If it weren't for Ghost Sight, this would be absolute torture. With that unpleasantness out of the way, I enter the casino, get chloroformed, and now I have to track down the loose ends scattered around. The speakers in the first part aren't much of a challenge, as there's plenty of blind spots to hide out in. This hologram does catch me off guard by feigning friendship before toasting my face like a marshmallow. Touché. You do have to tell the Blue Man to walk somewhere else to proceed, but this doesn't disable him, so the run is still intact. The rest of this section consists of getting keys and passcodes, and aside from getting the Kaiser treatment from this auto dock and the light-skinned stare of death a few times, it goes smoothly enough. Now that I'm in the cantina, I have to stop the schizophrenic mutant from making the casino. Burn to the ground! I try talking him down, but I neglected to put points into speech, so I take every relevant drug in my inventory, pull out my oddly appropriate kitchen knife, and begin to throw down. Super Slam procs almost immediately, and since the knockdown timer stacks, I just slice and dice until it is done. After that grisly business, I fix the 3 gas leaks in the kitchen, exit before my collar explodes, and can move on to the theater to deal with Dean Domino's pizza, not before killing a few wandering spirits, however. Luckily, since I didn't damage his fragile ego, Dean's fairly nice to me. I level up, maxing out melee weapons, getting guns to 69, nice, and the Here and Now perk, where I get repair to 90 and science to 40. My main strategy for this section is to run into a room, look for anything important, and run out before my collar blows. As long as I stay patient and don't get too greedy, I can get everything I need without having to turn off any audio devices. After turning on Dean's hit, Saw Her Yesterday, which is just something's gotta give, but I guess he doesn't care about copyright, I have a pleasant chat with the man and go into the lobby where I practice my throwing skills on some more ghost people. Now we're at the final section, which is more so annoying than difficult. The speakers are few and far between, and the holograms can be easily snuck past. Most of the challenge is just finding out where the hell to go, as the place is built like a maze with a lot of rooms that look identical. Eventually, I find Baldy, who it turns out has a personal vendetta against the crazy old guy. Hey, that works for me. I have to go into the lobby to grab the audio samples, so some more ghost people have got to be smudged. Since it's basically the end of the DLC, I test out some of the other weapons out of curiosity, and let's just say I'm glad I didn't do a guns build. Back to the old hack and slash, I suppose. Surprising even me, it is possible to get past the speakers and holograms in the lower section. You just have to be as fast as humanly possible and pray to God you don't get hit by any laser beams. Unfortunately, you do have to shut down the alarms to deactivate the force field, as the option doesn't show up otherwise, and it's impossible to progress if you don't. Since this is absolutely required to beat the DLC, I'm not going to count it, but strictly speaking, it's not possible to beat Dead Money without disabling any traps. Nevertheless, I'm almost at the end, so I'm not going to call it quits here. After breaking into the Sierra Madre vault, I find enough money to afford a 2-bedroom apartment in 2024. I then use my repair skill to goad Elijah into coming down to face me, sadly have to drop my newfound fortune, take every drug I own once more, and ambush him from behind a generator. Luckily, he misses me with his Gauss rifle, which due to my lack of armor may have killed me in one hit, and I proc Super Slam, leaving his body to rot with the very treasure he came to plunder. I then make a mad dash to the elevator, level up, getting my luck to lucky number 7, which I feel is appropriate after all the shit I survived, take one last look into my still very much broken soul, exit the Sierra Madre, and sort of beat Dead Money without disabling any traps.
You've heard stories of the Sierra Madre Casino. We all have. This story's different than the others. It's all in promise of beginnings. And the ending.
When Dog fell in the Sierra Madre Casino, 2 died as 1. Dog died hungry, alone, frightened. The voice in his head died with him, screaming, furious, enraged. But the voice was gone, and Dog was grateful. At least Dog was dead, and the voice needed to watch over him no more. In the moment before their lives ended, the wall between the 2 personalities fell. The 2 became silent as they saw the chain between them. Hunger and control are twin greeds, something Dog and his shadow had never realized.
Dean Domino, entertainer, singer, thief, explored the Sierra Madre not long after he was rescued by the courier. Once he left the theater, the Sierra Madre recognized him as a guest, and many doors opened to him. He had to admit it had been built to last. During his search, he came across the final records of Vera and Sinclair, and realized what happened the night the bombs fell. He felt strangely sad for a moment, and he had no idea why. Shrugging it off, his mind turned instead to where the courier had come from. Vegas still survived, out there in the Mojave. Its sights, sounds, and casinos, ripe for the taking. So, giving the Sierra Madre one last nod and a wink, he set off beyond the cloud to begin again.
Christine, her mission complete, found new purpose as the Sierra Madre's warden. She watched over it silently, by choice. Over time, the ghost people came to see her as one of the holograms. They would watch, silently, as she walked among them. At times, Christine thought of the courier, who had kept Elijah's hand from her throat. The courier reminded her of the other courier she had met in the Big Empty, and wondered if the 2 had found each other at last. She did not think of them again until she heard the legends of the Divide. The Divide, where the 2 messengers, the 2 couriers, fought beneath an ancient flag, at the edge of the world.
You heard of the Sierra Madre Casino. we all have. The legend, the curses. Some foolishness about it lying in the middle of a city of dead. A city of ghosts, buried beneath a blood-red cloud. A bright, shining monument luring treasure hunters to their doom. An illusion that you can begin again. Change your fortunes. Finding it, though, that's not the hard part. It's letting go.
Whoa!
As a final send-off, I go back to where this run started, the place where I stuffed that powder ganger in a barrel. I stand there and let the radiation that once gave me strength consume me, ending the run and Mether Hasten for good. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you didn't enjoy the video, leave a dislike and give constructive criticism so I can improve. Consider subscribing and turning notifications on. It's free and makes videos like this one possible. Also, leave your ideas for new challenges down below. I do read them and they may become an official video. Join my Discord server, check out my Reddit page, or if you're thirsty for more content, check out my second channel, The Loophole. This is Causal Luke signing off. Peace.